G'day VanFam, it's Brett here from Sveto's Trippin'. So I get asked a lot, do you make money on YouTube, or how much money do you make on YouTube? I think a lot of people are curious, but it's kind of intrusive to go up to somebody and say, hey, how much money do you make? So I think for everybody that comes up and asks, there's a lot more people out there that are curious, but they're just a little bit more polite. It's okay to be curious about how YouTube works and how much money it pays us. Being on YouTube essentially makes us public figures, so it kind of comes with the territory. But on top of that, it's actually really easy for you to work it out for yourself. So if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll show you how you can do that. So to answer the question, yes, our YouTube channel is monetized, which means we're getting paid for doing what we're doing. So in this video, I'll share with you how much YouTube pays us, and I'll try and explain how this whole getting paid for doing videos on YouTube thing actually works. So we make two very different types of videos. We make videos which I call vlogs, which are us sharing our adventures and travels around Australia, and we make videos like this one, which are a bit more informative. I call these types of videos talking heads. It's important for me to separate them into two different groups because we make significantly different amounts from each of the two video types. So what I'm going to do is break down just how much work goes into each type of these videos, and then I'll let you know how much we make for each of these types of videos. So for our travel vlogs, we're basically just filming and recording our daily lives. And while it doesn't feel like traditional work, there are still a few tasks involved. We need to make sure that all of our cameras and batteries are all charged and packed and ready to go. We need to make sure that we've got all the data transferred and things like that as well. So we need to make sure the SD cards are empty. And then when we're out and we're living our lives, we need to make sure that we're capturing enough footage so that we're able to tell our story. So that means things like flying the drone, making sure we're capturing enough A-roll and enough B-roll so that we can tell our story. So like I said, it doesn't feel like traditional work, but you could say that it adds up to maybe 4 or 5 hours of work. The part of the thing that feels like work is the editing. For me, it can take anywhere between 6 to 20 hours to put a vlog together, and then another 1 to 2 hours to make a thumbnail. So to put it all together, you could say that we average out at spending about 20 hours a week creating our travel vlogs. So what are we earning for all that effort? Well, I went through and averaged our earnings from our last 10 vlogs, and on average we're earning $83 per vlog. So if you were to break that down into the 20 hours of work that goes into it, we're earning about $4.15 an hour. And the other thing to note as well is that we've had a lot of growth lately. So about 6 months ago, I was probably only earning more like $2 an hour, and a year ago I would have been earning a lot less than 50 cents per hour. It's a good thing I really enjoy doing this, because if I was doing this solely for the money, I would have quit a long time ago. So right now, you're watching what I would call a talking head video. And these are put together much differently to our travel vlogs. The work for these starts at my computer, where I'll spend anywhere between 5 to 30 hours doing research and drafting up a script. The research and script writing part is by far the most time-consuming part of one of these videos. Once the script is ready to go, I can record it, and that'll usually take me 3 to 4 hours to do, and then it comes time to edit. And because it's all laid out in a plan, it's actually really easy to edit one of these types of videos, and I can usually get it knocked over in about 6 hours or less. So let's say all in all we're averaging around 25 hours to put together one of these types of videos. So we find that our talking head style of videos generate significantly more revenue than our travel vlogs. And that's due in part to a few reasons, I think. One of the reasons is that people often jump onto YouTube in order to learn things, and I like to think that we put out some valuable information in our talking head videos. And the other reason is that these sorts of videos are evergreen in nature. That is, they're going to continue to get views for weeks and even years after they've come out, whilst our travel vlogs will usually get a spike in views for 1 to 2 weeks, and then they'll taper off to virtually no views at all. So I've been through and I've averaged how much we've earned from our last 5 talking head videos. And on average, in our last 5 talking heads, we've made $620 per video. And if you average that out across the 25 hours of work that goes into it, we're probably earning around $25 per hour. And that's not too bad. We're just significantly higher than the minimum wage here in Australia. Hold up guys, that was a Freudian slip. What I meant to say was that we are just marginally over the minimum wage here in Australia. Another interesting stat that I noticed while I was preparing for this video, in our last 10 vlogs we gained 230 subscribers, whilst in our last 5 talking head videos we gained 3,000 new subscribers. It's not hard to see where we get our best bang for our buck, isn't it? Alright, so now I'm going to try and break down this whole YouTube thing and try and explain how YouTube decides to pay us what it decides to pay us. The first thing that we need to talk about is something called RPM. RPM stands for revenue per mile. Basically, it's how much YouTube decides to pay you per 1,000 views that you get. There are a whole bunch of factors that go into deciding that, and I'll try and break them down now to explain how YouTube assigns its RPM to us. Where your audience comes from will have a huge impact on your RPM. If your audience comes from a wealthy nation, then you're going to have a higher RPM. In fact, I found this on the internet, and it tells us that Germany has the highest RPM rate. So guten Tag, my German viewers. Please tell more of your friends to watch us. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult you. In fact, you're probably not even watching. On the back end of YouTube, it actually tells us where our viewers are from. And as you can see, the majority of our viewers comes from Australia, which happened to be the second highest RPM rate, and probably explains why our RPM is a lot higher than average. Another factor that impacts your RPM is the age of your audience. Companies pay more to advertise to wealthier people, and it's just a fact that older people are wealthier than younger people. So yes, YouTube actually tells me a lot about you guys too, and I can see here that the majority of my audience is over 35, which means that's probably helping us out when it comes to our RPM value. Another factor that's going to impact the RPM is what the subject matter is of your channel, or your niche. So the highest paying niches are things like finance, tech reviews, sorts of things like that. I'm not entirely sure where traveling and caravans comes into it because I couldn't find any information on the internet about that, but we can be pretty confident that it would be above average anyway. So what's our RPM? On the back end of our YouTube channel, it shows us that our RPM value is $15.05. So that is, for every 1,000 views, YouTube's going to pay us around $15. But that can be really inconsistent, and it will vary based on which video. So I've had some videos come out and get an RPM of $7. I've had others come out and be as high as $27, which means that our revenue is always going to be really inconsistent. But on the positive side, I actually looked up what the average RPM value was on YouTube, and it's somewhere between $3.30 and $4.40. So we're well above average, which is something that we can be happy about. Alright, now we're going to talk about ads. The amount of ads you put into your videos can have a huge impact on your RPM value. I can remember when we monetized, I was freaking out. I was thinking our audience is going to hate us for putting ads in these videos. But the reality is, YouTube is an ad-supported service, and without those ads, we don't get paid. So if you were wondering, yes, we get to control how many ads go into our videos, and we get to control where they show up as well. So when I upload a video to YouTube, I go in and I let YouTube assign the ads automatically, and then I go in and delete about 70% of the ads that YouTube puts in. YouTube wants to put in a crazy amount of ads. So I end up putting in about 3 to 4 ads per video. And I've had a chat with some other creators that I know who put in a lot more ads than I do, and I've seen that their RPM values are significantly higher than my RPM value. So the more ads I were to put in, the more I could get paid from YouTube. But I feel like 3 ads is probably enough for each video. And then there's the types of ads. There's skippable ads and non-skippable ads. Obviously for the non-skippable ads, we're going to get paid no matter what. But if you skip those skippable ads, YouTube won't count it as an ad, and so we won't get anything for it. In order to have a skippable ad count, you need to let it play through for about 30 seconds. Sorry, I was just thinking how many times I can say skippable, non-skippable without stuttering. I think I got through it alright. So when we upload a video, we get a choice of whether to put in skippable or non-skippable ads. I usually just check both options to give you guys the chance to skip some of the ads. But if you'd like to help support us creators, you can let those skippable ads play through for at least 30 seconds. Because if you do that, YouTube's going to count it for an ad view, and that's going to help increase our RPM. In fact, I've actually heard of some people that let their videos play through a second time and they just let the ads play all the way through. So if you're doing that, thank you very much. You're really helping us out. Speaking of ads, here's a few ads now. Before we get to what YouTube is paying us, I just wanted to go through a few more of the back end things of YouTube to give you guys a few more tips and ideas of ways that you can help support us creators. Without a doubt, the single biggest factor that impacts how well a video will do is something called the click-through rate, or CTR. What that is a measure of how often viewers will see our thumbnails and click on the video. And because it's so important to have a high click-through rate, I think that's why a lot of creators go with that negative clickbaity style of thumbnail. I personally hate it and I try not to do it, but it works. You can't argue with the numbers. And because I don't do it, my click-through rate on my vlogs tends to be a bit lower, so my vlogs tend to get fewer views. So the absolute biggest way that you guys can help us out is if you see one of our new videos come up on your timeline, if you click the thumbnail and let the video play through, that is a massive tick on the YouTube algorithm. If you skip our video and pick something else, well, that's a big negative on the thumbnail. That's just how it works. As a bit of encouragement to show you that just a few of you guys can actually make a difference, if my new video comes out and it's got a click-through rate of 13% or higher, I know that video is going to do well. It's going to get a lot more views for us. Whereas if I put a video out and it starts out with a click-through rate of 9% or less, I just know that video is going to do really poorly. It's going to be the difference between YouTube showing my video to new viewers or showing my video to even fewer of my subscribers. So if those new videos come out in your feed and you click them and let them play, that is a massive help for us. So thank you if you're going to do that for us. I'd really appreciate it. The next biggest factor that impacts how the algorithm looks at our videos is something called retention rate, which is a measure of how long you actually watch the video through for. So if you're skipping through the video, or you're clicking off halfway through or a quarter of the way through, or especially if you're clicking off within the first 30 seconds, the YouTube algorithm is going to mark that down as a massive negative. Whereas if you let it play through for a long period of time, the algorithm marks it as a positive. So again, if you want to help us out, if you let those videos play through for a longer period of time, the algorithm says, hey, that's a good video, and it kind of helps us out. The next thing that helps us out is the interaction rate. So that's things like clicking the like button or leaving a comment. So if you do those things, the algorithm says, hey, this video is doing well, it's got a good interaction rate, I'm going to share it with more viewers. So take a moment now, click the like button if you're enjoying what I'm sharing with you today. And finally, it's subscribing. If you click that subscribe button, it's a massive tick from the algorithm. Speaking of subscribing, on the back end of the channel, you can see that about 75% of the people watching our channel aren't subscribed. So if that's you and you're returning and watching our videos again and again and you're not subscribed, I'd like to ask if you could click that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really does help us out. So we've reached the main event. How much is YouTube paying us as a creator with 10,000 subscribers? This here is a screen grab from our analytics page. If you look at that, you can see that in the last month we've had 116,000 views, and that translates to YouTube paying us $1,700 in the last month. You've got to keep in mind though that this is going to go up and down depending on how well our videos are doing over the last month. Recently our videos have been doing really well, so our analytics and our numbers have just been going up and up. There's another statistic that I can share with you from our analytics page. This here shows what we've been earning on a month by month basis. As you can see, over the last 3 months our YouTube revenue has quadrupled. And what can I say? I'm absolutely stoked to see that our YouTube channel is traveling in the right direction. But just to put it in perspective, if we continue to earn $2 a month from YouTube, that works out to be 24 grand a year. 24 grand a year is not exactly a livable income. So for us, YouTube is still kind of just a side hustle. Right, now I promised at the end of this video I'd share with you guys how you can look up what other creators are earning in AdSense from YouTube. So there's this website called Social Blade. Now you have to create an account to be able to do this, but there's no cost associated with making an account. Once you have your account, you can go into the settings and adjust the value to Australian dollars and set the CPM to a value somewhere between $12 and $15. Once you've done this, you can search the YouTube channel that you're wanting to stalk. So if I type in Svedo's Trippin', you can see that it's giving a pretty good estimate of our earnings. A couple of weeks ago, Sarah and Keelan, who are in the same niche as us, did a video like this showing what they're earning with their 80,000 subscribers. They showed that they're making a bit over 7 grand a month. So if I plug them into Social Blade, you can see that it estimates somewhere in the ballpark of what they said they're earning. So this verifies that this is a reasonably accurate tool. So there you go guys, you can have a bit of fun with that and you can get a bit of an idea of what other creators are making in AdSense from YouTube. So that's it guys, Now you know a little bit more about how YouTube works, and hopefully you've got a bit of a better idea about how you can help us small creators out. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Thanks for watching. YouTube thinks you might like this video here. Click the thumbnail, the arrow is pointing at it. You could also subscribe by clicking the Trippin logo.